Hey, I'm Stefan Kesting. I run self-defense tutorials. I've been doing martial arts just under 40 years. So that's 4 decades of experience. And a question I get a lot is how to pick a school. So let's assume that you want to start martial arts or you've moved to a new city and you want to try a new martial art. It's a very common question. And it's a question that I encountered myself when I was about 18 years old because I had been training and I moved to a new city. I moved to Montreal. And I was kind of bored of what I was doing. I was doing traditional Chinese Kung Fu. And I was beginning to suspect that maybe traditional Chinese Kung Fu wasn't actually that applicable, at least the way that it's trained most of the time. So I had a pretty open mind about what I wanted to train. And I also had the incipient idea that it was more important to find a good school and a good teacher than train in a specific style. You might have the best style in the world. For the sake of argument, let's say Muay Thai is the best style in the world, or, Southern Mantis is the best style in the world. You know what? The best style in the world with a bad teacher and a bad school and bad training partners is the worst style in the world. It doesn't matter about the style. It matters about the people that you spend time with. It matters how that style is taught. I was beginning to have this revelation, and so, like I said, I was pretty open-minded. I just wanted to train, and I wanted to train at a good school and learn halfways applicable, halfways realistic martial art. Actually, more than halfway. A realistic and applicable martial art. So I did what I think that you should do if you're in this position, which is go visit every school. Think of it this way. You're about to spend 1, 2, 3, 30, 40 years training in a martial art, right? You're not doing it for a quick hit. You're probably in it, or at least you're open to being in it, for years, if not decades. So you're gonna be spending a lot of time, a lot of sweat, a lot of energy, and a lot of money training. So it's worth your while to do your shopping around. You just don't want to go to the nearest place or the first place that you find on Google or the top ranked school in Google or the place that's right around the corner. You don't want to do that. You want to check them out for sure, but you want to go everywhere. You want to check out many different schools. So what I did back in the day, I made a list. I looked through the then Yellow Pages, because that was how you found schools back in the day. I've heard that there's an amazing website now that you can use to find schools. It's google.com. You go to the Yellow Pages of the day, and I made a list of every school that had the slightest bit of interest to me within probably a half-hour commuting radius. And it was Montreal, big city, a lot of schools. I'll say 10, 15 schools. Then I did some research on each of those schools. Then I went and took a class, or at least watched a class at each of those schools, and I had a little notebook, and I wrote down my memories from it, my impressions from it. I can't believe I was this organized, but it really paid off, because after the third school, you're going back, well, what about that first school? Or was that the second school? And that instructor, Jacques, it was the other guy, he was an asshole. You get confused. So keep notes, whether you do that in a spreadsheet, on a piece of paper, keep notes. Go visit every school. Nowadays, I would say, at a minimum, you should be able to participate in a class. If they say, no, you can't participate in a class, that's a yellow flag. Or even worse, no, you can't watch a class. That's a red flag. If you can't watch a class, walk away. You're not signing up for something sight unseen. It'd be like, signing up for a Russian bride service, and we've got Olga here who wants to meet you. No, you can't see a picture. No, you can't Skype with her. No, you can't ever meet her, but we want you to, we want $10,000 and then you can marry her. No thanks. This isn't a blind Russian date. You get to go and try out the class. Go and try a class at each one of those schools. Be open-minded. Maybe you thought you wanted to do Wing Chun Kung Fu, but then you go and you find this kickboxing school that you really like the instructor of, and it's great energy, and it's closer to home, it's more affordable. Go there. Maybe you were 100% sure that you wanted to train submission grappling, no gi. But then you go to this great jiu-jitsu school that wears the gi some of the time, no gi the other time, they do both, and that's better for you. Great. Try out every class. If nothing else, this will expand your knowledge of the martial arts, because then you'll be actually speaking from experience when you're talking about, Choi Lei Foot, or Northern Shaolin, or Kyokushin Karate, or whatever it is, because you went and experienced it. 10 minutes of experience is worth 4 hours of research on the internet, plus you can't tell about the instructor's character. Is he on the phone yelling and screaming like a maniac about some club t-shirts that haven't been delivered yet? That might be a red flag. Does he have his, children's class lined up and being yelled at like a bunch of Hitler Youth? That might be a red flag. Do people get injured? And does the instructor not give a crap? That might be a red flag. Go and try it out. Try out all the schools that are within a reasonable commuting distance. Make notes, and at the end, you'll be surprised at how obvious your decision is most of the time. And what you started out with might not be where you end up. In the case of Montreal, I ended up walking into a little martial arts school that was above a magazine store at the time. About half porn mags and about half other magazines. It was upstairs. It was Philip Gelina's Kajukenbo Academy. I'd never heard of Kajukenbo. I walked in. I could smell the sweat in the air. I could see the holes in the drywall where students had been sparring and gone into the wall and knocked holes in there. And they're like, okay, this place seems hardcore. This is what I want. So I stayed and watched a class. I stayed and tried a class. And I was there for the rest of my duration, the next 7 years in Montreal. Thank you, Philip. He also introduced me to a whole bunch of other martial arts for which I am eternally grateful. I had never thought about doing Kajukenbo before going in there. How did I find out about Kajukenbo? By experience, by making that list and checking it twice. That's what I think you should do if you're looking to find a new martial arts school.